Johnny Organo, and you're listening to the Turnbuckle Tavern podcast.
G'day ladies and gents, it is I, Nick Storm, the Australian icon, and welcome to yet another edition of the All Elite Wrap-Up here on the Turnbuckle Tavern YouTube channel. What, brother? But I'm not alone in this, of course I'm not. I'm with my tag team partner.
What's going on, Nick Storm, the ace of the tavern? We're here, just the two of us. Sometimes we have the wrap-up show with like 10 people, sometimes just a tag team coming at you. And fresh off Blood and Guts, we're going to give you all of the breakdown you guys need to talk about. And this is the first time we're getting on the air after Forbidden Door, so we have a lot to talk about, Nick Storm.
Yeah, dude, this week alone for AEW has been crazy. Forbidden Door was out the wazoo with just like matches and like such great moments too. We're going to get more into that with our top 3 or top 5, I should say, for this edition of All Elite Wrap Up. But dude, we just had Blood and Guts. What a fantastic episode this was. Ace, what do you think overall?
Man, what a good show. And the thing I kept thinking about was how much fun I was having watching. And I tried to figure out why it felt different. And we've been talking about the build up to Forbidden Door, and there was this mad rush to get to June 26th and get all these matches and get everybody familiar with the Japanese stars. But this is like the first time since the Forbidden Door build up that we were able to breathe and actually have the AEW style show. And it was just nonstop action. We'll get into all the things that went into it, but I want to give a shout out to the Detroit crowd, man. This is the first time AEW was there. They were loud the whole night. They made everything feel important, whether it was the Gun Club with the Acclaimed, Claudio's first match here on Dynamite. Everything felt so important. The crowd played an integral part about making this feel special.
Yep, 100%. Like, you could tell, Detroit was starved for some good wrestling for a long time. And they finally got it. And what a Dynamite to even have this at, Detroit with the whole Blood and Guts thing. I actually saw him recently in an interview with Eddie Kingston. Tony Khan gave him the rundown for when we could do Blood and Guts. So they gave Eddie like this city to this city, this city, this city. And Eddie was like, Detroit will get it. And damn right they did. They blew the roof off the house. And it made for a phenomenal crowd, Ace.
It's very challenging to do something like that too. When you have a match, then we were texting before the show, before the main event, I should say. And about 9:44 is when the entrances started. So we knew we were getting over an hour. And the way the classic War Games match, the original 1987 model, and this is a variation of it, it has to go long because there's a huge story to tell and there's certain rules and time limits that need to be met. But for them to stagger the show and have as much action as they did for the first hour, it didn't feel like, and this is the same being said for the last Blood and Guts, they do a really good job of spreading it out and getting a lot of guys on the show where whole show feels as if there's other things going on except this main event. And that's hard to do. It's hard booking to do because there's this big event, the 2 rings, it's constantly looming in the background. You knew it was coming, but there was a lot that happened on the show aside from Blood and Guts. And that's really important to make sure there's a differentiation to make about that.
Yeah. 100%. And like, especially with the few matches before the actual Blood and Guts match, it's hard to keep a crowd that kind of hot and heated. And especially for a match like Blood and Guts, where it's maybe your sights kind of hindered through the steel cage and going an hour long as well. Like that's is a hard thing to do. But am I holler netting? God damn it! This is
You're a little bit of holler net. That's okay.
But Stormy, the icon, holler nets. It's a good.
So
time.
A little bit of storm on your end. You know what? That's okay. But your point was, I heard it loud and clear. It's hard to keep people excited throughout the whole night because you get fatigued. We saw that happen. I mean, people at home were complaining when they watched Double or Nothing that they were fatigued just watching at home. And you give a lot of credit to the crowd there. They added to the experience, and it really felt like they added to the show. And Detroit, that this is the first time that the AEW has been there. They definitely will be coming back. The crowd was hungry, and they were ever present the whole night, chanting the whole thing. It was amazing. Is your holler net going off?
100%. Without further ado, we can get more into our picks. Yeah, it is, dude. It's like crazy. It's going bing, 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 bing. It's hollering like crazy right now. But we can get into all of our top 5 and stuff like that for the Dynamite and Forbidden Door. But first, let's do some news. Let's do some housekeeping and some freaking news in the process.
Are you hitting the drop for me?
Oh, yeah. My first day on the job, guys.
That's all right. We'll sip the coffee. It's all good.
Which goddamn one is it here?
I got it
little
for
kiddo.
you.
Which one is it?
Want to talk about?
There we go.
It's our boy Cody. What do you guys want to talk about?
Oh, we got a lot to talk about, dude. That was so. We were just silent. Somehow, still less scuffed than the weak Tom, Style, and Grace. So at least we're doing something good there. But yeah, let's go through the news. John the Fisherman, Botchamania. Yep, there we go. Let's get some shout outs to Sam as well. What's up? But yeah,
we have a lot to go through for the news, and we're going to get started. I want you to clip that video ready for me. Just have it ready to go as I'm reading. So this just dropped prior to Dynamite going on the air. During a Twitch stream for CEO Gaming, Kenny Omega was discussing his rehab from injuries, and he said the following. So if you can hit the clip, we'll talk about it, Nick.
Look, if I get another major setback, that's it. That's it. I'm done, because I can't do this ever again. It's like 2 times, 3 times a day, really painful rehab. And without even knowing like what's it going to be like once I get back in the ring, I have no clue. It's scary, actually.
Wow. So there was more to this quote. He continued on, and I'm going to read some more of it because I think it's important to talk about. There's a different kind of expectation put on me, and I think that anything less than what they are expecting, which is already unrealistic, is going to lead to a lot of ridicule, which is what I get every day anyway. You could probably understand and imagine how difficult it is, struggling twice, 3 times a day, trying to get things to work and maybe never worked before, and trying to reroute things in your brain and get the things that aren't going to heal. People think Kenny is hurt. He took time off. Snap your fingers, I come back and I'm 100%. Life doesn't work that way. Bodies don't work that way. Athletes don't work that way. It's very difficult to formulate a plan and execute it. We'll see how I do. That's courtesy of Fightful, the full quote. Nick, you and I were talking off air about it. How are you feeling? I mean, this is a very informal thing. I don't think they were planning on talking about this. It's mostly about Twitch and video game streams. But he said something very important here, and I think it needs to be discussed.
Yeah, of course. This is not Kenny in a character. Like, whenever he's doing these gaming appearances, maybe sometimes he's in character, but here it's just like kind of a sit-down hangout. Tell it's definitely not in character. This is all coming, like, being honest, Kenny. And a lot of people are throwing the word work around this past crazy freaking year. So if people think it's a work or not, I think it's something scary and something to really think about. Like, no one ever comes back 100%. Whenever you step in a wrestling ring, you're never going to be 100% again. You have to deal with just being injured all the time, like having sores, having bumps, having bruises, and that's just your new norm. That's just what you have to deal with. And I don't know if Kenny wants to put his body through all of that again, but I'm hoping he does, because as a lifelong Kenny fan, I would say lifelong, but I really became a big fan of him in recent years. But I'll say lifelong. Heck it, I'm only 3 years old anyway. So, but I'm a lifelong fan. But yeah, it's sad to hear that for sure. Because if he does retire, I mean, it's definitely understandable. But as a fan, as a selfish fan, it's hard to hear. So,
dude, this didn't even seem like a possibility when we were talking about him coming back. It was a matter of when he's coming back. We don't know the date yet. Is it going to be at Forbidden Door? Is it going to be at Revolution? Is it wherever it's going to be, All Out? We wanted it to come back, but this didn't even pop into my brain. I didn't understand that this could be a possibility. And it was very interesting. I don't know if you guys listened to the Renee Paquette, John Moxley interview they did about sit down since he coming back from rehab and all of that. He had said every wrestler deals with pain every single day, and it leads to whatever it leads to, and you have to deal with it in your own way. But nobody ever gets back to 100% while you're in the ring. And maybe Kenny, the fact that he has all this time off, he has injuries. They talked about it was vertigo. He was in the ring. The ring was spinning while he was on his back. He had the double shoulder stuff going on. His knees are shot right now. He has a lot of miles on his body. And for me personally, I think he will come back. I think he loves it too much. But this scared the shit out of me. I'm going to be honest with you. When I read this, I didn't even think it was a possibility that we wouldn't even be able to see Kenny. And for me, when he comes back, I'm saying that out there because I need it to happen. We just need to appreciate, because you don't know when it's going to be over.
Yeah, 100%. Even I can think back to last year's Double or Nothing. There was a little around FanFest he did a in-person like AEW Unrestricted Kenny Omega did with a sit-down with Aubrey Edwards and Tony Schiavone in the ring for the Fan Fest Double or Nothing last year, and he brought up like, man, do I still have, can I still go? Do I still have what it takes? And I think he was even thinking of that last year. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of, how long do I have left in this? Because you look at how much he's given to the whole business of wrestling. Whether you think it'd be positive or negative, he's made like such a freaking staple in wrestling. He's the god of professional wrestling, and I still think he is. But he's
dude,
left
there's so many miles in that body, though. Like the thing is, it isn't just the soft WWE, the strategic color by number bumps, as the Chads call it. He's out there all those Japanese matches in New Japan against Okada. I mean, against Jay White. I think he wrestled Jay White a few times as well. He goes out there and he takes every match is just brutal between the bumps to him, the bumps he's taking. So it's not the same level of bump that people are expecting. So despite his age, he feels like he should have many more matches left in him. You never know.
Yep, exactly that. Yeah.
So this conversation will continue as we talk about Kenny, because we thought it was a foregone conclusion that he would be back. And I'm hoping that, fingers crossed, this was just something he said in a reflex, not formal. It was in just a relaxed setting. And obviously it's going to get a lot of, pub because of the fact that he is Kenny Omega and he's dealing with an injury. And he is one of the cornerstones of the second coming of AEW.
And I still think he has a lot to show to the national audience, you know what I mean? Because he's made waves in Japan, and I still think there's a lot to prove to the crowd, I guess.
Dude, there's so many dream matches left. I mean, Punk and Omega still on the table, so we thought that was a foregone conclusion. Like, oh, Punk is finally back. We're going to get that program we want when they're both there. And now, both of them are injured. So, you never know. Sucks. That's why you got to kind of pull the trigger on programs when they're there and in front of you. And, you can't wait. Yeah. All right. Next story here. Speaking of CM Punk, as I mentioned, Hangman was reacting to CM Punk's botched buckshot lariats. As we all discussed, following Double or Nothing, people were all over CM Punk for the botched buckshot lariat that he had a Double or Nothing. And then again, the night he hurt his foot, he also botched another spot as well, not knowing his foot was actually broken. But this is a quote from Hangman. And he wrote, "It made me feel better about myself that I can do it. I know that grabbing the ropes and flipping over like that and landing on your feet and hitting the guy in the face is hard on any day at any time, much less, 20 minutes into a match. And I think that made me have a little more appreciation and pride in my ability to do it. It doesn't surprise me that he couldn't do it. And that's not a knock on him, because it's a tough ass thing to do. And it's something I've done for a long time. I've had time to sharpen it. He hasn't. So I don't know that I have the best go to sleep in the world either. Certainly not as good as his, because he beat my ass with it." So sort of in character a bit here with CM Punk and keeping the feud alive a bit. There was a lot of heat on CM Punk for not being able to do that move, but I think it just brings to light the appreciation we should have for Hangman being able to execute that move with perfection every single time.
Exactly that. What's up, Frames, in the chat, by the way? What's up, Anakin? What's up, Tyson, John, and Sam? Everyone in here. Everyone having a good freaking time. But yeah, I think if anything, seeing him botch those moves, obviously it made me cringe a little, because I was like, maybe that wasn't the way it was supposed to go, but it fit into the story.
Yes.
Well, it's not in CM Punk's moveset, so why should he perfect it? And I've said this before, but I feel like a finisher, someone's finisher, like for example, Hangman's buckshot lariat, he can do that and he can perfect it in a way that he can execute it and get the pin most times are not. So he hones that craft, you know what I mean? Same with CM Punk, he hones the go to sleep. That's why it's his it's his finisher, right? He ends people with it. So I think, I wouldn't be able to fucking. Are you kidding me? Top rope, do a flippy? No way.
No, I mean, it also fits to the narrative. It's his finisher, like you said. We think about The Rock doing the stunner. It never looked quite as good as when Stone Cold was doing it. And it also, and I know Freem said this, I give him credit during the Double or Nothing post show right here on the Tavern. He was saying that it fit, even though he may have been legitimately fatigued and tired, it fit the story, because he's a guy in his first, this is the biggest match since he's returned for the World Championship, and him falling over for the buckshot. Yes, it's not perfect. Yes, it's not as rehearsed as you probably would want it, but it fits the story. He's an older guy going for a championship against the younger champion. And it almost I I think it will age better over time, because especially when you have quotes like this from Hangman paying respect to him and not burying him, I think it's going to go a long way to help Punk in that regard.
100%. Yeah.
All right, moving on here in the news, we have Dark Order's Alan Angels. His AEW contract had expired, so the Dark Order continues to chip away. More and more members keep going. We had Evil Uno did tweet that the Dark Order is not dead. But according to media reports, they are going to be having him on a per-date basis. So he's not done with AEW, but it seems like he will be involved in AEW in some capacity. Quick thoughts on Alan Angels and his departure from a full-time contract, Nick Storm?
I think they might start doing the just per date thing more regularly, because Peter Avalon, I think he's just doing per dates now as well. And I think you kind of have to do that, because you're losing money, because you see the talent on the roster and just how, like, people say they bring up bloated. You can say bloated. I'm going to use bloated as just a kind of how big the roster is. But yeah, it's get to the point where, like, you could lose money because you're signing all these contracts for however years, however many months. And so I think just on a per date basis, because we're not seeing Alan Angels every week anyway, you know what I mean? So, like, yeah. I think per date basis is probably just best off business wise. It sucks to see that Dark Order's chipping away slowly. Like, I feel like this only leads to them disbanding, you know, a Dark Order becoming nothing. So it's kind of scary, but
yeah, you'd have to think if it didn't have the legacy it did within the history of AEW, the short history with Brody Lee and all that, the Dark Order might have been kind of washed away anyway, but they're keeping it alive, I think, because of obviously Brody Jr. and then Brody Lee himself. It's a legacy thing, and I think the Dark Order truly will never go away. It will always be there in some capacity, whether all the guys are gone or not. I guess it will be there in some capacity. I don't know what it looks like, but yeah, I look at Alan Angels and his time in AEW. Think about his debut match that he had against Kenny Omega. Speaking of Kenny Omega, Omega made him into not a star, but brought him to attention where he was a big part of AEW programming for a bit. We saw him join Dark Order in May. He remained in the group through the end, and he wore a mask for part of his run and then dropped it. His last match, if this is his last match in AEW, which we don't think it will be because based on the reports, it will be a per date thing. It was a match against Daniel Garcia at the Universal Tapings that's yet to air. So his last match is yet to air, but we will see it. So we'll see where we see him again. And I think if anything, he built up his name where he may have some stock to go on the indies and make a little bit of run, but saying like former AEW star Alan Angels. And I think he's good in the ring. So he can do a lot.
Yeah, 100%. I think in ring, he's pretty great to fun. It's fun to watch. I also want to call out Frames, doing our national anthem. Australians, let us all rejoice. And then you have to pay for the rest. Sorry, guys. That would be on the Turnbuckle Tavern Patreon whenever that comes out. No. But, yeah, Alan Angels, sucks to hear. He's hilarious on the Sammy Guevara vlogs, too. Yeah. So hopefully I see him more.
All right. So we may see Alan Angels, but what we will be seeing is the AEW Heroes and Villains panel set for San Diego Comic-Con. So this will be the first time that AEW will be featured at San Diego Comic-Con, which is a very big deal. If you guys don't know about that, is a big spotlight for them. AEW will be part of the Warner Brothers Discovery presence at San Diego Comic-Con in 2022. Right now, some guests being announced: CM Punk, Jade Cargill, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, Bryan Danielson will be involved in a panel discussion, which is called AEW Heroes and Villains, which will be moderated by Excalibur. So not exactly sure what it will entail, but just their presence there will be really good, not just for AEW's presence in the wrestling community. Think about the presence of the wrestling figure community as well for the toys and everything that gets announced there.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I can't wait for this. I always love panels. I always make sure I go and seek out every panel that AEW has, because I just like seeing, a group of wrestlers that maybe you wouldn't see on TV in a ring together, and they kind of interact. It's cool. It's cool characters, and I like to see it. So names like CM Punk and stuff like that, I'm excited for the.
So just so you guys know, it will be Thursday, July 21st to Sunday, July 24th from the San Diego Convention Center. And it will be held on January 23rd, beginning at 6:30 Pacific time as well. So that is what Heroes and Villains will be. So we'll give you guys more details as it comes up. I think it's cool. And maybe Fig Night will have more details as well. And our good friend, Mike BELCASTER.
Yeah, stick around for Fig Night, guys. Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
We had a nice episode with Tom and also Chris Metzger popped on too. So you never know who's going to pop up on the shows. What a great show that was. I was able to check it out when I got home from work. It was awesome. So next year in the news, AEW Grand Slam Dynamite and Rampage was announced for September, as you guys saw in the commercial for Forbidden Door. For those that live in New York, like myself, young Anthony, we also have OG Fig Kid. It's a big deal, Grand Slam. Obviously, if you guys remember last year, we had Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. This will be AEW's second ever stadium show in Queens. After Tony Khan confirmed the show will return at some point this year, AEW officially announced their second ever Grand Slam Dynamite. Their return to Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens is set for Wednesday, September 21st. For those in the New York area or the tri-state area, tickets do go on sale July 22nd. Last year, if you guys remember, 15,000 tickets were sold following the public on sale, and the capacity was set for 17,000, so it's sold out. The number is the largest. So the people that came there, the largest attendance to date, and it was the most for a non-WWE show in the U.S. since 1999. It was their first stadium show and also their debut in New York, so a very big deal. New York is typically a Titan, however you want to call it, WWE, Vince McMahon land. MSG is, it's Vince land. So the fact that they were able to have such a presence there, it was staking their claim and saying, we're here to stay. And the Northeast is ours as well.
Yep. So Grand Slam, man, last year was huge. Kenny Danielson, are you kidding me? Mind blown. I go back. That's the match I go back, and you had the actual pleasure of living in the moment, you goddamn cheeky little bugger, you. And my light's falling off. Oh my god, it's chaotic here. But dude, I want to make it out to one of these Grand Slams because it just the whole stadium feel of it. 20,000 tickets were sold last year. That's incredible, right? So I think it is a special moment, and no doubt they'll have something special. I really want to advocate for this. If Punk comes back, wins the title off of Moxley again, and becomes the definitive world champion, I would really like to see Eddie Kingston and CM Punk go at it again at Arthur Ashe. So at Grand Slam.
That'd be awesome. He got the biggest pop of the night aside from Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson when he came out. That was awesome. Man. My only concern for Grand Slam, for those that were in attendance, the concessions were an absolute mess. They had only one food and beer line open, so hopefully they get that figured out. I don't think I think they underestimated the amount of wrestling fans and the amount of beer that would be consumed on that night, because they had most of their concessions. If you guys don't know, the U.S. Open, the tennis tournament takes place there, and it is a tennis facility. So they have all options to have it sold out, and they run that in the summer. And the fact that they didn't have these things open, they should be open, guys. Like, you guys should have everything ready to go. It shouldn't just be one line, because people almost miss matches because of the concession problems. But I digress. We'll talk about that. For those that want more talk about that, come to New York and Grand Slam. According to Tony Khan, Forbidden Door did $1 million in ticket sales and $5 million in pay-per-view buys. Those are good numbers, especially with all the injuries and the trouble that we had with every match change aside from one. I think the only match that didn't change was Tony Storm versus Thunder Rosa, right? Everything else was moved, right? Nick Storm?
Yeah. Dude, I love how you just... So we have like a notes article thing for all the news, and the only thing that this says is just the title because of how grand this is. Tony Khan, Forbidden Door, did 1 million in ticket sales and 5 million pay-per-view buys. Like, that's... Hello? That's incredible. Yeah. And I contributed it. So that some of that 5 million should be mine. I won't lie, because I did pay for the pay-per-view, so maybe I invested. So maybe give me some of the stock back. You know what I'm saying? So...
Yeah, the AEW pay-per-views do well. The only reason I mentioned it was because there was a little bit of hesitation on people's parts because of the build, even though we at the Tavern have been saying how well it was built. But people were saying that the relationship between New Japan and AEW wouldn't have the same appeal for every fan. It would just be for the diehards. But obviously, when you make $5 million on a pay-per-view buy, more than just the diehards are watching. And this has legs to have it continue into next year and the year after. And this could be an annual event. That could be something very, very special on AEW's hands. So who knows? Maybe the next one will be in Tokyo, or who knows where it's going to be. Jacksonville, New York. Baby. Very, very cool to think about.
Australia.
All right. Australia, maybe. Fingers crossed for Nick Storm.
That'll make no sense. But I'm here for it.
All right. So we had a Miro quote about the TNT Championship. And the only reason I mentioned this is because we here on the Tavern, everyone's been talking about how poorly the TNT Championship's been booked. We had Wardlow mentioned it in promo. This was kind of an in-character interview by Miro, but it also was a little bit of just the guy talking as well. So the quote here was, well, it's the man that creates the title, not the title that creates the man. I think everything I did with that title was the fruits of my labor. The title didn't come with all the heaviness. I mean, it came from Darby, which is a great competitor, but we're just different people, just such a different style. And then everybody that came after that, they tried to take it, but that's just not possible. When I hang on to something, it's mine. And unfortunately, the Sammy Guevara thing came in. He landed on my balls. Let's not forget about that. The finish, he did 470,000, do whatever the thing is. I was preparing to protect myself. He landed right on my balls, and you can't kick out of that. Nobody can. So don't even take fault of that. I take fault. I take fault of maybe being too good of a champion, because ever since I lost that title has gone to the shits. That's nothing but to blame Sammy for that, and he's got to bear that cross. So half in character, half not in character. He's making an excuse why he's losing, but there's some truth to that. I think there's a lot of heat with people. They want to make it clear that the TNT title will be reinstated to the reverence it used to hold, and I think Wardlow can get it there as soon as next week, hopefully.
100%. Dude, let's freaking go. I'm all here for that, dude. Wardlow, give me Wardlow all day, baby.
All right, quick little note here. Jake Atlas's domestic violence case got dropped. So if you guys remember that, TMC first reported it, that, there was a whole thing going on with his significant other. So we don't know if Jake Atlas, he's coming back from a torn ACL that he's tore in early January. It was reported earlier this month that he's not expected to be back, but he had just signed before getting hurt. He was not under contract, but he was by a per appearance schedule. Jake Atlas was a promising star that Tony Khan spoke highly of. Be interesting to talk about since the charges are dropped. I don't know if we'll see him again, but we'll see.
Oh, we'll see. Yeah, only time will tell with that. So he didn't get much of a run in AEW. He had that one match with Adam Cole. He tore his knee out or something like that. So, oh man.
Yeah, we'll see. Former WWE and current AEW stars Bryan Danielson, Paul White, and Chris Jericho celebrated John Cena and shared memories and clips on Raw. So according to Fightful Select, the appearances from the AEW stars were done without much hassle. Tony Khan greenlit the decision when WWE pitched him the idea of video appearances. So Nick Starr, I'm not sure if you knew or were aware of this. And what are your thoughts about WWE opening their forbidden door? It was like a forbidden window. They opened the window a bit and they said, hello, you guys doing business? Can we just have a quick little cameo from the AEW stars? What were your thoughts on this?
I thought it was good. It's good because this doesn't hurt anything, right? It's only I can think of only positives that come out of this, right? And I saw something on Twitter. It's Tony Khan gave the go ahead to Danielson to Paul White and also Jericho. So it was really cool to see, especially seeing Bryan Danielson, 2022 Bryan Danielson to call Daniel Bryan. It's kind of like a weird thing to see, but it was cool. But yeah, Tony Khan gave the go ahead. So let's just hope this means more business. There's so many matches I can think of a WWE and AEW crossover. So hopefully the Forbidden Door maybe opens the eyes to the people at WWE, and maybe we can see something like that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to jump to that conclusion yet. I think in a perfect world, I would love to see that as well. But we see there's a dialogue that's at least started. We had Chris Jericho and Cody Rhodes on these different podcasts. So they're able to work together, and they have a discussion. A phone line has been called. They've been dialing each other's numbers and having conversations. Whether it becomes something bigger than just quick appearances on video, who knows? But we also see Impact also have the benefit of that. AEW stars and also WWE stars. AJ Styles was on the anniversary of TNA or Impact. So very, very cool. I did enjoy it. I know Freem said it was cool. I think it's really well done. And I think that's wrestling's at its best when everybody's working collaboratively. And it doesn't have to be in ring, but to tell the story of John Cena, there's certain people that you have to involve. And I'm glad WWE had the foresight to at least make the call.
No doubt, yeah.
All right. This is an interesting one. AEW will have heavy involvement with Shark Week on Discovery. So many promos have already been filmed, and they plan on doing some kind of gimmick match that week related to it. So, Nick, if you had to fantasy book Shark Week on Dynamite, what does that look like for you? And why is Luchasaurus involved?
Of course, Luchasaurus is involved. He was involved in the King Kong Godzilla match in 2020. If you remember that one, there was a promo for that. But think of this: Mimosa Mayhem, but without the mimosa, the water, and there's just a shark in it. You have to throw the person into the shark's mouth and kill and murder them on live TV, and then you get the win. What do you
Or we
think?
just get John Tenta back, or just give some big guy the gimmick, and we get the
Shark
actual
Boy
shark.
out.
Yeah, Shark Boy versus John Tenta, baby. We just booked it. Shark Week, baby.
That's Shark Week. Yeah.
But very cool. The relationship with Discovery is, I think, pretty good because we're having them get involved with the different panels at San Diego Comic-Con, and now we still have Shark Week's a huge deal for Discovery, so they look at AEW in a very valuable light if they want them involved.
I swear there's so many Shark Weeks in the year. We don't have that over here, so I'm so clueless with all of this.
Oh,
but
it's a big deal
sharks,
here in the U.S., man. People get really into it.
What is it? Is it do people celebrate and they put
it's
fins on their
it's
heads?
just like
They run around like a parade.
No, so it's just it's a week of programming related to sharks, and people. It's very high rated on Discovery. It's done very well over the years. So it's just different shark programs over the years. We've had Megalodon specials, people just doing shark things. I don't know. So it has legs here, or it actually has fins, I
Okay,
should say.
yeah. Oh, it has fins. I like it.
It has
Yeah.
fins. All right. Final news story here. Jericho did an interview with TalkSport and was asked about the MJF situation. He noted that it doesn't involve him and he wasn't working with MJF in a program, so he stayed out of it. But this is what he said. When asked if he thought MJF would be better in AEW or WWE, he did say AEW. Oh, absolutely. When asked if he thought WWE watered down MJF's character, he's better off staying in AEW. But again, don't stick your finger in the light socket. You tell a little kid not to do that, and they're going to do it and see what happens. I'm not going to tell anybody not to go elsewhere because I did it. I did it for years. I did come to AEW. I walked away from WWE. When I signed my AEW contract, Vince McMahon said, "Can you get out of it?" No, you told me to go here. Same thing happened when I left WCW to go to WWE. Sometimes you got to take a chance, and if you believe in yourself and you feel you aren't getting your dues, then you got to go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's a second quote I want to talk about, but initial thoughts on Jericho. Does it change your mind whether it's a work or a shoot, or are you kind of remaining steady here?
I'm remaining steady. The way Jericho's talking about it is making me think different, maybe, but maybe he's a worker, man. Jericho, he's the GOAT for a reason in a lot of people's eyes. So maybe he is just working us. Who knows? But this is all spicy, so
Yeah. So the second quote here. So if Max or Cody, if they want to go elsewhere, that's kind of the way it goes. That's pro sports, and that's what pro wrestling is. It happens in the NFL, in the NHL, the Premier League. Guys come and go. You got to have the best team possible of people that want to be there. And if you don't want to be there, it's just not going to be conducive to your own performance anyway. So very neutral answer. Like he was sort of supportive of Max leaving. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really change my mind whether it's a work or shoot. I still believe it was a shoot that turned into a work and worked itself into a shoot, brother. It doesn't really matter at this point. It's transcended storyline. It's now involved in outside interviews with TalkSport, and Jericho's talking about it. This doesn't feel like storyline. This feels very real to me. And I don't know, maybe that's what they're trying to get across.
Yeah, maybe that is. And like Freem said, he's going to WWE. This is
Congrats,
big news.
Freems. Hell yeah, baby.
Yeah. This is
what would Freem's character be in WWE? Like, obviously they get rid of his first name. They would just call him Free.
Ready? They'd call him the Creamer Free. The Creamer, in quotations, and he comes out handing cream to everyone, or like Johnny Drip Drip squirting cream into the crowd. Maybe that's that gives another connotation to cream pie. But it's not for this show.
All right, so before we go on to our top five, our Rampage lineup for this week coming up on Friday, which is being taped right now, the Young Bucks versus Chaos, which is Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. I believe the tag titles are on the line. Toni Storm versus Nyla Rose. And we have the Royal Rampage, which is a 20-man battle royal for an interim AEW World Championship match at a predetermined date. We do not know when that date will be. The name Royal Rampage rubbed me the wrong way immediately, Nick Storm. I'm not sure if you felt the same way. Like, did they have to say Royal Rampage?
I just got it. Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different adjectives with the name R that starts with R, I feel like. So maybe Royal isn't the especially if it's a Rumble like match. So
yeah, Regal. You could have called it the Regal Rampage.
Yeah, Regal Rampage. But yeah, 20-man battle royale. This is fun. I just hope they pick someone who does have a chance, not like a Kyle O'Reilly who is just we know is going to lose. And so I feel like I want a good match. I want a good who's going to win this out of this. So hopefully we see that on Rampage. I don't know.
And dude, they love tournaments. They love battle royals. Like they had the 2 tournaments in a row for small tournament for the All Atlantic Championship. And then also obviously the Owen Hart tournament that was over the course of about a month. Yep. And now we have 2 battle royals in the course of 3 weeks. Like, can we just take it easy on some of the stipulations? Like they're not going to feel important if you start spamming them.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know.
Battle Royale Rampage. That's the new name.
All right, that's it for the news. That's all I got for you. I hope you guys enjoyed the news. We're moving on to our next segment, Nick, and this is your cue. You got to hit the next thing.
Oh, which one do I goddamn do, Sonny? Which one, Sonny?
I think you'll listen.
Oh, I got it.
Redeem these nuts.
That's not it. But hey, that's good. Yo, there we go.
Listen, yo.
I think
Redeem these nuts.
That should be the one anyway.
At least when I'm hosting it, all
Yes.
of them redeem these nuts.
All right, so as you and I discussed,
But dude,
we had too much to talk about.
Yeah.
It's got to be 5. We got to give me 5, as Big E would say. I got 5.
yeah, and the Nova Dragon saying LOL. But yeah, guys, we normally do here, without the exception of me. I'm not a permanent host. I'm just a little measly guest. But we're all the same at the tavern. We're a communist. I'm kidding. We're not communists, but we have a top 5 instead of a top 3 for moments of the week, matches of the week, including Forbidden Door, Rampage, and this past Dynamite with Blood and Guts. I guess I'll start off here first, and it's number 5. So my number 5 would have to be the IWGP title match at Forbidden Door with Jay White, Kazuchika Okada, Adam Cole, and Hangman Adam Page. This was a great match. I got chill bumps in the first few minutes when they were all just staring down. They had to take a minute to take it all in, and it was freaking beautiful. Everything was great in the match until the finish, I thought. Don't mind that. You like that? Yeah, I'm not gonna mute for that, baby. Yeah, let it run. But
We're gonna edit that one out.
in post, yeah. But dude, like the whole like match feel of this was incredible and insane enough for me to even put it on my list. So, and the match itself was good, apart from the finish. Obviously Adam Cole looking like he got shoot hurt. So yeah, that's my number 5. Ace, what you got?
All right, before I give you my number 5, I do want to comment on this match because it did not make my list. It was an honorable mention, though. When you have a match that has the crowd chanting, "This is awesome," before the match, before anybody touches, you have something special. I go back to the Shield versus the Wyatt family when they were standing on each side of the apron where everyone's chanting. I said in the beginning of the show, crowds add a tangible effect to shows, and this was very evident for Forbidden Door. You put this in front of a blasé crowd that was not involved and did not chant these guys' names and didn't pop for when they were supposed to pop, the show wouldn't be as good as it is. The technical wrestling was really, really good. This match was, to me, one of the better matches of the night. I thought having a 4-way can get messy. I thought they did as best as they could with this.
Yeah.
And the decision that they made to make it a 4-way, I was not a huge fan of it. I wanted 2 one-on-ones instead. But that being said, I thought the match was really good until Adam Cole got hurt. You could definitely tell it was weird the way he was pinned. But I thought for a second Jay White would lose the title, but once Hangman didn't win or the title didn't come off a New Japan guy, it almost kind of put the writing on the wall that Moxley would be taking the title in the main event of Forbidden Door. That's the way I was looking at it in my brain, because if someone from AEW won, the chance for Tanahashi to win was there, and that just didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very fair, very fair. Let's hear your number 5, man.
My number 5, and this was awesome, and I posted on my Instagram page immediately. I try to stay off my phone during Dynamite because I like to just experience it, take my notes and all that. But I had to pop on there and post this picture, man. Heel Luchasaurus. We got Bowser vibes, man. This dude is video game boss at the end of the game, ready to go. Changed his gear to black from green. And there's been a lot of talk about Luchasaurus and where is he going to be once Jungle Boy breaks up with him. they found a spot. We have like almost a main event level heater where he feels like retro Kane. Like he hit the choke slam, and I'm not sure if he was influenced by Kane at all. This was awesome, and I popped for it. The entrance was perfect.
Yes.
Christian in his corner. I'm all about this. And maybe he won't be world champion, but he could be a legitimate contender to any baby face in peril. He'd be a great monster heel to put him up against. Awesome. I can't say enough good things about it. I loved it.
Yeah, dude, he was very Kane-like, which is something I picked up. Like he just the way he was moving was very Kane-like. Dude, yeah, this was awesome. I won't get into much of this yet since it is on my list, but for my number 4, I guess, dude, Danhausen and FTR. What a freaking what a matchup that no one knew we needed, and maybe we didn't need, but I goddamn enjoyed it. Oh my god, Danhausen and FTR. This I had no clue who to expect to come out. I definitely didn't expect FTR, especially with Dax and maybe his dislocated shoulder from Forbidden Door. I was like, there's no freaking chance. And then I hear the bum 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 bum, you know, and then FTR come out. It's a great time. They verse the I wrote it down here, the Arse Claimed. And let's see if that's
nice copyright. Little C with a circle in it. That's
there we go. Give me all the money, all the royalties. I thought that was really cool. We got more story with the Gun Club and Billy Gunn kind of disowning his kids, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
And siding with Max and Bowens. And obviously Bowens, at the end of the match, getting up, standing out of his wheelchair. And it was great. It was like a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, that match was awesome. And I had said it in the chat, and I'll say it again. We need to retire the Road Warrior pop, and we need to now call it the FTR pop, because that music hit the first 2 chords of that song hit. The place came unglued. And the turnaround from these guys from being one of the better heels in all of wrestling when they were teaming with MJF, and then just how quickly they were able to get the fans behind them with their in-ring work.
Just in January, they were heels. Like, it's crazy. They
are the hottest baby faces probably in all of wrestling right now. And just listen to that pop. Go back and compare it to an old school Road Warrior pop. And it may be recency bias, but we need to start calling it with the respect it deserves. It's an FTR pop, not a Road Warrior pop anymore.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, beautiful. Beautifully said.
Hell yeah. And speaking of the pop, it only can come from this part of the audience. And it's my number 4 is the Detroit crowd. This is the first time, as I mentioned, that they were hosting AEW. And I don't think they get the love they deserve for how special they are in certain moments. And I went back and looked at some special moments that took place in Detroit, not this arena, because this is a newer arena for the Detroit Red Wings, but the old school Joe Louis Arena, and even go back to the Pontiac Silverdome where the Detroit Lions played, or their newer stadium where the newer Detroit Lions thing. So they hosted 2 WrestleManias, but we had Angle debuting in 1999 Detroit. Crowd popped for it. They were very involved in that. WrestleMania 23, hot crowd, great event. WrestleMania 3, need I say more? Stone Cold was thrown into the Detroit River. Crowd made that. They popped huge for that. And then, of course, one of the biggest crowd involvement moments of all time in wrestling, one of the most famous Stone Cold moments ever, Stone Cold on the Zamboni attacking Vince McMahon. What a freaking moment. Detroit was on fire tonight. And I can't say enough good things about them. They were popping for the Acclaim. They popped for the Ass Boys. They were so loud. I was getting chills before the Blood and Guts match. This crowd made such a special effect on this show. And like I said, man, they should be going back to Detroit at least a couple times a year because they killed it. Chicago gets the credit. New York gets the credit. Motor City, you deserve your goddamn credit. Give Detroit their goddamn flowers. What a job they did tonight.
Yeah, it felt like a Chicago crowd. You know, it felt like it was massive. Even when they did the cut back from picture in picture, and they had the huge kind of camera angle, you can see the whole arena. It was packed, man, and packed with screaming fans. So, dude, it was just freaking great to see. That's a great number 4. I guess I'll get into my number trays. I'm bilingual, guys. Number trays. I would have to say the Christian Cage promo, and that also brings to the attention of bringing out heel Luchasaurus, which I thought the presentation was huge on it. The promo, like, I put this on my Instagram. I think Christian Cage is one of the best heels right now. I think he is the best heel right now. Not excluding MJF because I think that excluding MJF because I think that promo that MJF did, his last one, made him kind of a babyface. You know what I mean? It made him like that Stone Cold babyface.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't call that a heel promo at all. But man, Christian Cage has been on fire lately, especially with MJF out in this whole storyline. They need a big heel like this in AEW, and I think Christian Cage is the perfect. Like he was saying, I'm so I need to apologize for just saying like speaking on your dead father. But I wish I'm sorry that your whole family's not dead. So I was like, holy shit,
Dude, he
man.
doubled down. Like I thought he was gonna walk it back for a second. Like that was a little too harsh last week, and then he doubled down. I wouldn't except your mom. He like call me. So like I was a little hesitant on Christian getting a little bit of heel run here. I was so wrong, man. This has been so amazing. I love it. Like he's fire on the microphone when he wants to be.
Exactly, and then bringing out heel Luchasaurus. This is gonna be great for like I feel like it's gonna be like Christian sends Luchasaurus out to have a match with Jungle Boy, and then Luchasaurus has like a kind of, maybe like, oh, this is the guy I've been with my whole life, and come to a babyface kind of agreement there. But who knows, dude? Anything can happen. This is a fun freaking storyline. I'm all for it. But that's my number 3.
I think we need some explanation with the Luchasaurus thing. I know he was whispering in his ear, and obviously he feels like his career was helped by Christian because they were teaming together. He got his first championship with Christian in their corner.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what was said. I need the rest of the story. Maybe we will because there's not enough time. There's only 2 hours on Dynamite, and 1 hour was dedicated to Blood and Guts. So they didn't have time to tell that story. I'm certain they will. I'm curious where they go with it. Obviously, Luchasaurus is still sort of a sympathetic character because he's being taken advantage of here, similar to Corporation Kane. And again, parallels are immense here. Corporation Kane, while being a heel with that group, you felt bad for him because he was taken advantage of for being a monster. I just hope that if they're going to book Luchasaurus like a monster, that they don't move away from the good things he can do in the ring. I know the Lucha stuff, it's in his name. The Lucha stuff is more of a babyface style working. I don't want to see him move to just the monster, Kane, Big Show, old school Taker level of working. I want to still see him do the things that makes him, make me pop for him because I think that's that separates him as a big man. And I think that's important to keep in his repertoire because those moves he can do earn him his spot on the roster. We talked about on the flagship, they were talking about Luchasaurus probably would be excess. Where does he go from here? I think as a heel, take that Lance Archer spot. Like be that guy who could be the big heavy when you need a guy to have a big match. Maybe he's never going to win the championship, but be that guy that's always just a threat. And I think they could do something special with him.
100%. Yeah. That's a very, very good point.
But move away from the growling and the dinosaur bullshit. Like move away from it. Make him just a guy in a mask who's just like kind of being taken advantage of.
They should name him Manosaurus.
No, get rid of the Saurus. Lucha's not the problem.
just call him Man.
Lucha Man. Lucha Man in a mask.
Listen, man. Right. Yeah, there you go.
My number 3 is this was one of the better matches, and it almost was my match of the week, but there was so many good matches this week that this one fell to number 3. Just shows how stacked it was for the inaugural All Atlantic Championship, PAC versus Miro versus Malachi Black versus Clark Connors. And this match was one of the matches that got changed last minute because of the Ishii knee injury. Clark Connors was involved in that first qualifier match that would happen on New Japan Strong. And then Connors was the guy who replaced him here. People were kind of murmuring, saying they should have someone different instead of Clark Connors. And let's just say, good thing they didn't. Clark Connors, man, like the underdog that he created in this match. Who knew that out of the 3 guys between Miro, PAC, and Malachi, that the Chicago crowd would be chanting for Clark Connors during this match? And that's a credit to what he was able to do in the ring. He told the story quickly, made himself a star like that, and now the American audience knows who he is. What a job. This match was, man, you want to talk about a chef's kiss? How to get a title on the map. And I didn't think PAC could win, but when it happened, I was like, perfect booking decision. It was awesome. Any of these guys winning, Clark Connors, you knew was taking the fall, or he was not winning. But the other 3 guys, could have been anybody. PAC in the win here was perfect.
Man. Yeah, I completely forgot about this match. I was startling Grace while I was watching, so that maybe is my bad. But I'm gonna say this is my number 2.5. How about that?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, this doesn't make the list, but I goddamn wish it did. Clark Connors, man, if you didn't become a fan of Clark Connors in this match, I don't know what's wrong with you. I need to get that checked out, brother. Because my god, dude, table spot with Miro, even like, oh my, okay, I need to watch this.
Fucking go.
I need to watch this match back like instantly. So that's my number 2.5 as well. How about that?
Man, perfect. So do you want to go with your number 2?
Yeah, I'll go to my number 2. What's up, Marcus Devil May Cry? I respect Sammy after the show, man. Me too. We'll get more into that later, but my number 2, I would have to say, is Ospreay and OC, man. Big fan of this. And I know you thought highly of this match. I thought highly of this match. This match was one of the matches of the night, and one of the matches of the week, hence why it made my list. It was just, dude, it was this non-stop beautiful action, and yeah, a lot of people were like, why is Orange Cassidy not going up against like Toru Yano or another comedy wrestler, maybe have a comedy match? But I'm goddamn glad they didn't either, because like, look at the match we got out of it. Orange Cassidy, he can definitely go in the ring. I think people forget that. They see the lazy gimmick and they think that's all it is, but then they see him actually in the ring, and they remember, oh, yeah, Orange Cassidy's not one to mess with. He had a shot at the AEW World title at last year's Double or Nothing in a triple threat with Pac and Kenny Omega, and he held his own. I really thought someone was going to win, take the title off of Kenny in that match, and that just speaks volumes to Orange Cassidy's work rate. And Will Ospreay as well is another example of just someone who just has an incredible moveset and is just athletic as all hell too. So.
Yeah, good point, Marcus. Orange did shut a lot of people up after that match, and there was a lot of talking online about Orange shouldn't have been the guy facing Will Ospreay, and I thought both guys were great in this match. Orange it was like a clinic that he put on. And gimmick aside, people get so stuck on the gimmick. It's pro wrestling, guys. It's pro wrestling. There was once a dead guy named The Undertaker who was world champion. Like, you could have a guy who has a sloth-style gimmick. He can turn it on when he needs to. But I'm not going to go too much into that match because it is further down my list. I will talk about it in a second. I'm going to go with my number 2. We had Jon Moxley versus Tanahashi for the AEW World Championship. And great match. I mean, from the entrances on, it felt special. Also, a little side note, I love the fact that they had the Japanese ring announcer in there as well, adding with Justin Roberts. That was really well done. It added to it. I love when they did Jon Moxley. And I think Excalibur said, "It's your turn, Taz," and he's like, Jon Moxley. Really awesome. This was a really good match, and I think Tanahashi sort of was waiting for this match to turn it on. If you watch any of his other match that he had on Dynamite, people I don't really see the big deal. If it was the first time you saw a Tanahashi wrestler, you're like, I don't get it. I would understand that everybody that watched this match probably understands why Tanahashi's the legend he is. He has bad knees, he has a bad back, but he still went out there and put on a great show. And there was a couple of near falls that I thought for a second that Tana may have walked away with the title. Moxley was inexplicably bleeding, and I think I was, having been watching Game Changer Wrestling, he did wrestle Tony Deppen a couple weeks ago, and he got cut open the hard way. So I'm thinking that might have been an actual legit busted open because there was no spot where he was bleeding. So I'm thinking that's where it came from, but it added to the match. It felt random, but it added to the match.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if you saw as well during this match, the crowd's attention veered off for a little bit, and it was seeing something in the other corner of their eye, and some guy was actually getting thrown out of the arena. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, there was a fight going on in the match, and Moxley, veteran move, he put on a headlock to wait for this to pass. Instead of just hitting the bigger spots, he waited for the buzz to die down, and then he actually continued with the match. So that was a really well done move by Mox. But this was an awesome match. Tanahashi was all over the place, and I love the respect after. One thing I will say is I was not a fan of the aftermatch shenanigans to build up blood and guts. That match was already built up. It took away from the moment to have these guys go out there and be bum rushed like a Dynamite angle. Like, just have them shake hands. Moxley was in the middle of bowing. That's how you should go off the air on the first ever Forbidden Door. People are going to remember that forever. And it ends with this like schmaz that you've been doing every single week. Like, just let it lay down for where it is right now. Yeah,
no, I agree with that. Like, when they started coming out, I was like, what? You're going to end like a Mania-like pay-per-view with that? You know what I mean? Like, it just felt, exactly, it felt like a Dynamite ending. But regardless, the match was really great. And yeah, dude, a big fan of this match.
So, Marcus, thank you for commenting here. Make sure you like and subscribe to Turnbuckle Tavern. We have many shows like this going on, not just AEW. We got the Raw down. We also talk about GCW, all the good stuff. So make sure you hop on the tavern and stay with us. But Forbidden Door, Bryan versus Shibata in Japan, book it. I'd be all in. If we get Shibata cleared to wrestle, maybe the fact that he was there and he didn't take any bumps, but he did deliver some moves. I mean, Shibata scares me, man. The guy almost died in the ring with those headbutts and he had the hemorrhaging in his brain. If he's good to go, selfishly, I'd love to see it. But Shibata, man, one of the special talents in Japan, that's his career was cut too short. So if we can get any more of Shibata, I would love it. It was surreal to see him here. It was surreal.
Dude, the music, man, it was crazy. Like, the music hit, and I was like, no fucking way. It's Shibata. Like, it took me off guard, you know?
It was very surreal because you didn't think it was possible that he'd be there because of the fact that he's not cleared to wrestle. And who knows? People have been cleared in the past. Like they had said at one point that Bryan Danielson would never wrestle again and that Edge would never wrestle again. Look at Paige. He's trying to make a return. So it's possible Shibata could be cleared. Time does heal. But, man, I'd be so scared to see him taking bumps. But I would love to see it. I mean, Shibata is a dream. All these guys. Shibata versus Punk. Like, I would just love to see that as well.
Yeah, 100%, dude. You bring good points, and hopefully we see that. Next Forbidden Door would be really cool. Maybe Wrestle Kingdom. I know the invitation is accentuated into Wrestle Kingdom, so maybe we get some AEW styles on that as well. But I'll go with my number one. Number one. Can I get a drum roll, please? It's
not the same without Tom's
soundboard. Jr. Exactly. It's not the same, but my number one is Claudio versus Zack Sabre Jr. Claudio Castagnoli. Oh my freaking god, beautiful pop, dude. The entrance, the presentation, seeing him wear tights again. We haven't seen that since Shikara, I don't fucking think. So
yeah, and he had hair, I think, in Ring of Honor. Like, I don't know,
man. Yeah, dude, exactly that. Like, it was so cool. The presentation of him here it felt like 10 times anything he's done in the past year or two in WWE. It just felt huge. He's being treated like he is this huge star, but that's because he is. And this match, it spoke for itself. I saw a thing and it was like his last match was against Happy Corbin, where he lost to Happy Corbin in 3 minutes 50 seconds. And now this match, it was 18 minutes, and he won against Zack Sabre Jr. Like, just the glow up in that, like, in particular. Claudio, one of my favorites in WWE. Cesaro, I should say, was one of my favorites. I used to watch him all the time growing up when I was like 10, 11, 12. He was on Raw, The Real Americans, all that stuff. I was just huge on Cesaro, like, my whole life pretty much. So seeing him in AEW was surreal, but it felt so right. He stated himself, it just fits. It fits. And it's like, he said in the post-scrum, the media scrum, he said, I know everyone here. It's my first day, and I felt like I've been here for years, because he has so many friends, so many relationships he hasn't had or maybe seen in that kind of wrestling environment for so long. And dude, I got so much to say on this. But dude, match was amazing. This alone, this whole whatever you may be, the entrance, the match itself, beautiful, amazing.
Yeah, Claudio may be, and there's so many names you can draw from, and I know it's so recent in my brain. Missed opportunities from WWE. He may be that guy that they're going to look back on and say,
"Oh yeah,
what could have been?" Because he's always been on the doorstep of being the next true main eventer. I think back at the WrestleMania 30 run when he wins the Andre the Giant Battle Royal and he goes on to wrestle matches against Orton and Cena and he pushes them to the limit. He feels like he's going to take that next step and they cut him off at the knees. And then when they paired him with Heyman and they made him being a Heyman guy, and then for whatever reason they stopped doing that. And then also as recent as, like, I think in the last year or so, he was a challenger to Roman for the title. Never was really taken seriously, but he's that guy. He looks like $1 million. I think Vince has an issue with the fact that he can't speak he can't speak English, but he has an accent. I think Vince gets stuck on that. But what is WWE's loss is AEW's gain. And you made a really good point. He felt like he fit seamlessly immediately. And I think a big part of that is the fact that he's part of a faction. He has a reason for being there. And it's not like a guy like Keith Lee. Now Keith Lee's getting his legs under him with teaming with Swerve. But when you come in as a singles guy, and you're trying to make a story, and then AEW does a really good job of this, of not pushing guys immediately to the main event. They have to earn their keep. But in a lot of ways, these debuts get lost in the shuffle. But you have a purpose. Claudio has a purpose from the beginning, a built-in feud, guys that he hates, guys that he's coming up against. All these matches built off the Jericho Appreciation Society, it's ready-made for him. And the Bryan Danielson injury might have been the best thing to happen because he had said, I think Tony said in the scrum, if it wasn't here, it was going to be at Death Before Dishonor, and he would have had maybe a Samoa Joe moment, but then would have been lost in the shuffle like Joe was. And I know Joe's hurt, but Joe has been not doing much. Like Joe was involved in some matches. They were presenting him in a strong way, but he didn't feel as special as Claudio felt these last two nights. And nothing can be said about first impressions and Claudio for people that are seeing him for the first time. And I'm not sure if there's anyone in the AEW audience is only seeing him for the first time here, but if you are, he feels immediately like a main event star, like he could be world champion.
That's a star, dude. Yeah, like you said, like, man, I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say something and I completely lost it. But dude, yeah, Claudio and AEW. And, oh, that's what it was. When the Blackpool Combat Club first was a thing, I thought, you know, the perfect fit would be Claudio in it. Like, for sure, dude. Like, you look at him and you just, like, he was in the BDK in Chikara, I should say, and he fit well like that. And, like, I just think this is, like, where he needs to be. I'd love to see some singles matches, and no doubt we'll get that 100% in AEW. But, yeah, dude, Blackpool Combat Club, I think it just fits like a glove, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait to see what they do with him. And as I mentioned, the fact that he's built into this storyline with the Blackpool Combat Club is going to help. And then also built in first feud with Eddie Kingston, possibly. You're going to get those matches. They're tying in history that has nothing to do with AEW, and that's perfect, man. Like, it's already there. Use it. And the fact they're using Eddie Kingston, that was awesome. And paid homage to it in Blood and Guts, which is my number one. This was awesome. I thought it was better than the first Blood and Guts we saw. I didn't like the storyline as much as I liked the other one, but I thought this match delivered in a big way, and the Jericho Appreciation Society has grown on me over time. I mean, where do you even start with this match? There was so much to talk about here. I know that someone said in here, respect Sammy after the show. This is one of the better top of a cage bump that we've seen since the Mick Foley one that almost killed him. Like, I can't think of any other spot that didn't look so choreographed. Like, Sammy, despite there probably being a cushion under that table, he took a dead man dive off the cage, and the fact that the drink spilled on top of him as he landed, that added to the aesthetic. Sammy is unbelievable. You give the shit for the Ty Conti stuff, how he handled his personal issues out of the ring. When he's in the ring, he's magic, and he's a future world champion. No doubt about it. Making him a heel was brilliant. Putting him back with Jericho. The Lace Sex Gods are back together. But other parts of this match, they really emphasized Moxley's strengths. Same thing with Claudio and Eddie Kingston, and also Proud and Powerful. You had thumbtacks involved. You had a fork at one point where Moxley was using a fork on Daniel Garcia's head.
Abdullah the Butcher reference, you know.
Yeah, exactly. They pulled the ring up. There were nods to death matches, and also Sammy was doing catch can wrestling. It had everything for everybody, and it was awesome to see them ended on top of the cage too. Like, every time you watch one of those Hell in a Cells that have been happening recently, like, I just want them to get up on top of the cage and do something. They did it here, and it was awesome. And I thought the ending was cool, seeing Claudio get the win here, and with a discrepancy with Eddie Kingston and building in that tension.
Eddie
really
was
awesome.
like, what the hell?
Everybody.
You know? Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Fuck it, I'll talk on this match. But dude, this is up there on my list for sure, because dude, it just, I don't know, just everything felt right about this. Match started off hot with Sammy and Claudio, and it only escalated from there. You know, we saw they were having their own 7-star match at the start. Claudio and Sammy, it was great to hear, and we want you to chance, filling the crowd, absolutely. Hager and Claudio even have a stare down, you know, since they have history with each other in the Real Americans and WWE.
So cool, chanting we the people. That was awesome.
Yeah, we the people. It was cool.
Love you, Detroit.
Like I said,
Motor City, baby.
Yeah, Motor City, baby, and and Abdul the Butcher reference from from JR and Reegs, and when Mox had the fork, dude. There was just so much stuff in this, like. That whole backdrop, you know, we saw Jericho take that last year for the last Blood and Guts.
And did not look as good because of the camera angle and just the way it was done. It looked very...
This was amazing. Like, this felt like it was like like 30 feet in the air. This guy fucking fell and died. You know, it was insane. So much respect for every man in this match. Yuta getting some shine, which is great. I just have no bad things to say about this, really, man. This was fun.
If you want to nitpick, the one thing I will say about those elbows that the Blackpool Combat Club does, I feel like they're not noticing the camera is not, you know, they think the camera's not on them. Some of them, like Moxley was doing some of the elbows and he was letting up, but just stop doing them at that point. Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed that. To me, it looks kind of weak when they're doing the elbows like that. I don't know.
That's a fair nitpick, dude. Like, there's so much shit going on. Like, I probably didn't notice it because I was looking at 10 other things in the match. But
everything else Moxley does feel stiff, and then when he's doing those elbows, he's like letting up. And I'm not sure if he thinks the camera, especially since there's so much going on, similar to like a battle royal, you feel like the camera's not directly on you, and the camera happened to be right in front of Moxley, and he's like lightly touching the elbows. And again, whatever, we know it's not a real thing. You know, he's not trying to kill him with the elbows, but everything Moxley does looks so snug, so stiff. And those elbows are like, what are we doing? I mean, I feel like I've seen that a couple times with Wheeler doing it as well.
Yeah.
But just a shout out to the Blood and Guts model. If you guys remember, obviously it's based off War Games, which was created by Dusty Rhodes in 1987. That was the first ever match, was in the Omni in Atlanta, where obviously it was billed as the match beyond. It was a specialty match for the Four Horsemen. And I think they're really paying a good tribute to it. I think they're doing a really good job, and it's different. There's definitely different nuances from the War Games model. Even the NXT one, there was one done also in ECW, not called War Games, obviously with copyright, but a similar style of match. This feels very like a big end of feud style match where you put two teams in there, and yeah, you want it to be a tradition where you have it almost every year, but you want to make sure the matches have this blood feud. And I think both ones that they did felt very special. And I think both teams now need to move away from each other. They could have singular feuds against each other, but once you have Blood and Guts, it should be over.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, this should be it. And I can't wait to see what the Blackpool Combat Club does from here. It seems like Eddie and Claudio were chill at the end. You know, they fist pumped before they both went to the ring at the start of the match, and it felt like they were all buddy here. And I was waiting for like Eddie to just like backfist Claudio out of nowhere or some shit to happen. You know, so I don't know if they'll nod to that, or you know, Eddie finally respects Claudio and gave him his respect in that match. Who knows? You know, so.
Dude, doing the swing on top of the cage too is pretty gnarly as well, because the momentum could take him off. If Cesaro is freakishly strong, so it doesn't, like, you don't think about it, but any normal man could have dropped Jericho off the top of the cage and then see you later, like see you later off the top of the cage. But
dude, he's honed spinning around him a lot of times, and it's kind of nuts.
There's a video from Chikara that you were mentioning his time there of him doing 100 spins in the ring.
Yeah.
A young Bryan Danielson on the apron watching it happen as well.
Yeah, dude. It was a fun
full circle. The Blackpool Combat Club.
That's true, dude. I've been watching a ton of Chikara lately, especially with Claudio now, and it's so yeah, it was a fun time. But should I get into match of the week?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Where's Mark Henry?
I got
beautiful little man. Oh, hell yeah!
It's time for the main event.
There he is. He looks so genuine and so happy and so mischievous. But my match of the week, you know, we spoke on it just then. It's gonna be the Blood and Guts match, man. I don't know. This to me was giant. I was like, is there really not gonna be a Forbidden Door match for my match of the week? But I was like, I started thinking about it. I was like, dude, this is an hour of stuff. There's so much like shit to pick out of this Blood and Guts match. And so I thought maybe this could be match of the weekend, and goddamn pal, it is. Like, even the first 10, 15 minutes of it, I was like, this might be my match of the week. So much stuff happening there, so many cool spots, and yeah, that's my match of the week. Won't speak any more of it because we spoke it to death, but let's hear it, man.
So, man, it was hard not to pick Blood and Guts. Obviously, it was my number one, but my match of the week, I was most impressed with Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy, for the reason that people were giving Orange some shit saying that he can't go. And this was the highest rated match on Cage Match. Not that it matters. I didn't know that until after I ranked it as my match of the week. But these guys went out there and put on an absolute show. And aside from the fact that Orange can go in the ring, he's so popular, so organically over with the audience. The AEW crowd knows exactly what he's doing and why he's doing it. And you may not get it. You may not like the gimmick yourself, but you have to admit that he's popular for a reason. And it's not just he's a one-hit wonder that he's just a gimmick. He's not just a gimmick. You take away the jeans, put some tights on him, he could wrestle with Will Ospreay in the same exact style.
Give him the fire ant fucking tights and shit again.
But I also just want to say, man, about Will Ospreay, this guy, you want to talk about making an impression. Everyone's like, you need vignettes to bring these New Japan stars in. Will Ospreay is proof that you can let a guy do his thing in the ring and show people why he's a star where he is, why he's a former world champion. And people now are talking about Will Ospreay. And if they want Will Ospreay to come over here and challenge for the world championship at some point, if they open that forbidden door again and challenge the AEW champion, or even have him eventually cross over to AEW, it's justified because he feels like he's at that level. He felt just as big as any other star that was on that show that night. And he was wrestling Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy could have beat him, and it wouldn't have been weird. And that's how good it was.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Like, no negatives to take away from this match. Like
that hidden blade finish, dude, is one of the more brutal moves in wrestling. How do you fake that elbow?
If you're
to the back of the head?
Dude, I don't know if you know this clip or not, but there's a clip of a year or two ago. It was Kota Ibushi and Ospreay did the hidden blade to Kota Ibushi and like legitimately knocked him on the couch, and it's like it was bad, like gave him a concussion and everything, and that's like scary alone. And I can't believe he's still doing the hidden blade because it looks just as devastating. It's crazy.
And people talk about Will Ospreay. You know, if you follow his career, he was a guy who was a lighter heavyweight wrestler that was not competing in the World Heavyweight Championship contention for New Japan, man. When he was a small, scrawny guy, similar to Zack Sabre Jr., similar to Orange Cassidy, bulked up, put on size. His offense is devastating. He looks like a legitimate main eventer. And it's also pomp and circumstance when he comes out. He wears those robes. His entrance feels special. He's got his baddies next to him. Not the real Jade baddies, but he has the other baddies on his side. He feels like the biggest deal coming out of New Japan. I felt the same way about Okada, but I think Will Ospreay was right there. You felt like he's a huge star. If you were just watching for the first time, he felt like a huge fucking deal, and that's what the idea of Forbidden Door was.
100%, man, dude. Yeah, you said everything, man. Nailed it in the coffin.
We have a question from Marcus. Have you noticed Eddie Kingston's AEW run the past hurt like Brian, Punk, Claudio, and hell, even Moxley? Can you repeat? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. Like, have you felt like his AEW runs hurt him? Or, I mean, I feel like Eddie's more over than he's ever been.
Maybe like Eddie has this inner beef with pretty much all of those people that he mentioned, you know, like Punk, Brian, Claudio, and even Moxley, because they had that little feud a couple years ago. So I'm thinking maybe that's it, because I will say as well, it's really funny that Brian brought in someone that Eddie had beef with. You know what I mean? Like, because Brian and Eddie do have their qualms as at least in kayfabe. So that is really
he stopped Jericho from being lit on fire. That was the whole thing that during the Anarchy in the Arena match.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Freems, good point. Eddie Kingston's biggest enemy is loose cigarettes, and yeah, you know what? He loves his Newports, man. The menthols. That's what Eddie Kingston likes. Outside the bodega, man. Orders a bacon, egg, and cheese. Gets a yoo-hoo, smokes his Newports, leave him alone. You know, pop him in the side pocket of the sweatpants. That's Eddie Kingston, bro. It's not a gimmick.
Loves his menthols, man. Loves his menthols. Minty
Loves
fresh.
His menthols. Question for you, Nick Storm. If you had to pick one match, I know you were very high on Anarchy in the Arena, but do you feel like this match was better, or did you like that one better still? Double or Nothing or Blood and Guts?
Ooh. Oh, shit. My biased mind is obviously going to Blood and Guts because I'm a huge
recency
Claudio
bias,
mark.
man. It's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, there you go. But oh shit, man. I'm trying to think. Anarchy in the Arena was just fun, and I think the visual of Eddie Kingston coming out, like, there's gonna be no visual and no iconic photo like that coming out of Blood and Guts. So I think just in general, that alone kind of maybe Anarchy in the Arena was that much better. But yeah, I don't know. You can't go wrong with an hour long of goddamn brutality. So yeah, that one's a tough one, man. I don't know. I might have to give the slight up to Anarchy in the Arena, but yeah.
Redeem these nuts.
I was waiting for the drop. I was waiting.
There you go. There you go. We needed that there. But what would you say though?
You know what? Like, people were very high on Anarchy in the arena, and I thought it was good, but it definitely was not my favorite match. I'm not huge on matches that are laid out like that. Stadium Stampede was fun in its own right in its time because of the pandemic and how they were booking because of the need for creativity. I will take this match all day. Classic type of match, blood and guts with the history of War Games behind it to settle a score. I'm all about it. The structure of the War Games blood and guts match is conducive to what I like in my wrestling.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, I'm all for that as well. Dude. Yeah.
All right. I think that's all we got, my man. So you tell me what's going on your end. I know that Fig Night, you missed it this week. You were recovering from kangaroo attack. That's what I heard from you.
Yeah, like some kangaroos got some rope from the local warehouse and they tied me down, sport. So that's a shoot, brother. That's a shoot. They stole me. They kidnapped me. They put me in their pouch and they jumped along. So it was a scary time, but I'm back and every kangaroo looked like this guy right here, which is a scary thought. So
and then this one too. This kangaroo got you as well.
Dude, yeah, that kangaroo always gets me, gets me going. But nothing of that. But you can catch me guys on Fig Night, 7 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesdays here at the Turnbuckle Tavern. I feel like it's a network now. I feel like whenever I talk about the Turnbuckle Tavern now, I just say it's this network I'm on. So it feels like a network. It feels like its own little thing. And you can find a show. You can find just a show in this catalog of content that you like and that you can gravitate towards, because there is so much. And guys, go to theturnbuckletavern.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Discord, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pro Wrestling Tees for some merchandise, and also Teespring as well for all your merchandise needs. But dude, this has been a fun time. This Dynamite especially was really fun. Blood and guts, can't go wrong with that. But yeah, you can find me everywhere at Nick Storm Review. Everything else, Ace, let me know, and let the people know where they can find you.
Well, before I move into my stuff and get my shilling in, make sure you guys call the tavern. And I don't think it's too late to get in your voicemail. If you guys are listening right now, the flagship is being recorded as we speak. Call 304-404-2004 and hear your message played live on the flagship show. You don't know who's going to call in. We had Danhausen call in one time. Jeff Hardy called in from whatever Florida penitentiary he was from. Leave a voicemail. The Chads will comment on it. You may even get it played on air. I know the Raw Down played some clip on their show as well. So if you have comments about the show, good or bad, put us on blast. You think the Ace talks too much and makes the show about him? Call the tavern and let me know. I'll put you on blast, motherfucker. If you guys want ProWrestlingTees.com, you guys mention it. You can get a great show like this, Shot of Nostalgia, baby. You guys can catch me at Shot of Nostalgia. Before I'll hype that up, go to ProWrestlingTees.com. You get any of these beautiful shirts, and there's much more than these 5. There's so many you can choose from. I'm a Mike BELCASTER guy. Who's not? Mike BELCASTER's the fucking man. We miss you. Can't wait to see you next week. Belly to BELCASTER. Buy a shirt or go to Teespring. The TurnbuckleTavern.com has all your links. We have AEW wrap-up shows, merch. We also got some Raw Down stuff. Make sure you guys check it out. There's a lot of good stuff over there. But for my shilling, make sure you can find me right here, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, right after Dynamite, the AEW wrap-up show. It looks like variations of this. Mike BELCASTER's usually here. OG Fig Kid's usually here. Sometimes Stony, old guy BMX is here. You don't know who's showing up at the AEW wrap-up show. And, of course, Nick Storm pops in from every once in a while. And you can also find me on Fridays, Shot of Nostalgia. We're going through WCW 1996. We are covering Slamboree 1996, the Lethal Lottery. It's a mess of a show. We've also added a stipulation, if you guys have been watching, and I appreciate you guys doing so. If there's a DQ finish, a count out, a non-finish, a false advertised match, we have to take a shot of the liquor of our choice. So some of them are going to get messy. I don't know in the future how many DQs there are, so it might be just an absolute mess, but BELCASTER and I shook hands on it. And the other thing is, coming up July 28th is our biggest episode of Shot Nostalgia. We're building towards Bash at the Beach 1996. And if you know what happened on that day, one of the biggest days in wrestling history, Hulk Hogan turns heel. You guys can check that out. We're trying to get as many guests on as possible. Right now, we have Matt from Extra Cooler potentially joining us. We're trying to hook up other guests to come on. The more, the merrier to talk about that show, because I think it is like the landmark event in that year that we wanted to talk about. And of course, we'll move through the rest of the year and talk about it. But Bash at the Beach 96 is what we've been striving towards. It's only a few short weeks away. So hop on the bandwagon, check out WCW 1996, and it's a lot of fun. It's a shot of nostalgia. It's a great time.
100%. Shot of nostalgia, always a fun time. Maybe you'll see a producer here and there. Who freaking knows? But yeah, dude. I want
Tyson.
I mean, who doesn't? Are you kidding me?
I love Young Anthony.
Speaking of Young Anthony, Before Our Time, guys, debuting the next coming of weeks. Oh, Before Our Time. Oh, finally coming into fruition. Thank God.
You guys have a date?
No, we don't have a set date, but we're talking about it because that's when I'm going to the wrestling show and I'm traveling and stuff. So we have to work around that. But regardless, can't hit minors. Oh well. Tell that to my dad.
Oh my God.
Kidding.
Well,
you know who my real daddy is? The Tavern Daddy? Oh my God, it's you, ACEFIELD. Hello.
All right.
So you never hit me, right?
Very famous. Very evil.
Just
We're doing
breaking
these
it up.
nuts.
Just breaking it up for good measure.
You owe everyone an apology. You owe me an apology.
I apologize, Kenny. I apologize, Ace.
All right. So that's all we got for you guys. And, Nick, I really appreciate you joining me. This was like a last second thing. I know that you are always down to be on here. And I know you don't follow the Eastern time zone. So you're always waking up early doing things. I'm not even sure what time it is there, but I do appreciate you being on here and spending your time with me talking about all the great AEW wrestling.
Well, I go off the Australian Eastern Standard Time. So it's like the Eastern Standard Time, but Australian. So there you go. But dude, always a fun time to come on here. I love the tavern. I love everyone at the tavern. This is just a fun time coming on here, discussing all things wrestling. I get to have a little part of my day where I get to just rant, rave about all things wrestling. So it's really a fun time. But Ace, thanks for having me on, man. This has been fun.
And when you guys wake up like Christmas morning, there will be the flagship show waiting for you. It's just like Christmas morning, 2 hours and change of the greatness that is the flagship, episode 100, and I think 6 at this point. Don't quote me on that. I know it's past 100, couple in the distance, but it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to hear what the chat say about Forbidden Door. I can't wait to hear what they say about this Blood and Guts match and everything that goes into it. So we appreciate you guys watching. For Nick Storm, for ACEFIELD Retro, for Tom, who's not here, for Mike BELCASTER, and for all the tavern. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace, love, and pro wrestling. For you, Tom.